Welcome back to Food and Philosophy. This is episode 8. Continuing on the theme with the Ike's holiday sandwiches, I got the Earnest Saves Christmas. This one's a vegetarian sandwich. Got the freaking vegan meatballs. Has green pesto and a red pesto on there. Right. Actually, I haven't had this one in like at least a year, if not more. I got it on French bread. I know people all about the Dutch, but got to mix it up sometimes. I should have got next time. I'm gonna get the Silent Hill sandwich. I can't even tell that that's vegetarian. Last we left off was on the fourth agreement. You can only be you when you do your best. Anytime you're not doing your best, you're being something else. You're being a facsimile of yourself. You're being a projection of the worst aspects of whoever it was that you learned this behavior from. But you're not being yourself. When you don't do your best, you're denying yourself the right to be you. You don't need knowledge or a great philosophical concepts. You don't need the acceptance of others. Hell, it doesn't matter who agrees or disagrees with you. You express your own divinity by being alive and by loving yourself. And only when you love yourself can you love others. In fact, you can't care about other people if you're not taking care of yourself. How do you know if you care about humanity? Is look at how you take care of yourself. To the exact degree that you take care of yourself is how impactful you are on society. It is an expression of God to say that you love yourself, or the universe, or Mother Nature, or whatever you want to call it, humanity. If you're not loving yourself when you look in the mirror, like truly, not this fake bullcrap, yeah, I love myself, but like actually genuinely do that, you literally means you don't love anybody else. It means you can't love anybody else. It's not meaning you don't. It means you cannot. Because the ultimate block to truly loving and being grateful for society, other people, the people closest to you, the people furthest from you, is here first. It starts with you, it ends with you. This is why I say your well-being is your greatest contribution to humanity. Your own well-being. There's never an exception to that. That doesn't mean sometimes you need to take care of other people before yourself. No, your well-being is first. If you aren't there, you're not saying I love you to yourself. You literally cannot say you love anybody else. And it would be a lie if you did too. It'd be another one of the fake things like they talk about in the book earlier. The first 3 agreements will only work if you do your best. If you don't do your best, doesn't matter if you're impeccable with your word. Doesn't matter if you're not. It doesn't matter anything. Don't expect that you'll always be able to be impeccable with your word. Your routine habits are too strong and firmly rooted in your mind. But you can do your best, and you can be like, oh, crap, I'm not with my word right now, so let me go back and be with my word. Don't expect that you'll never take anything personally. You probably take 100 things personally today. But you can always take a step back and start untaking things personally. Just do your best. Don't expect that you'll never make another assumption in your life. Obviously, you've made 1,000 assumptions today, but you can certainly do your best. By doing your best, the habits of misusing your word, taking things personally, and making assumptions will become weaker and less frequent as the days go by and with time. You don't need to judge yourself, feel guilty, or punish. You don't need to judge yourself, feel guilty, or punish yourself if you cannot keep these agreements. If you're doing your best, you will feel good about yourself, even if you still make assumptions. Because it's not like we're never going to make assumptions ever again. So still take things personally. And if you're still not impeccable with your word, you'll still be able to do your best, even in those scenarios. By doing your best, you can become a master of your life, and you will end up as a beacon for other people to feel like it's okay for them to do the same thing. Everything you've ever learned, you learn through repetition. You learn to write, you learn to drive, even to walk by repetition. You're a master of speaking your language. Well, some of us are, because you practiced. Action is what makes the difference. If you don't practice, we're talking about practice again, then you are not going to get better. You won't be doing your best. If you do your best in the search for personal freedom, In this search for self-love, you will discover that it's just a matter of time before you find what you're looking for. It's not about daydreaming or sitting for hours, dreaming in meditation. You have to stand up and you have to be human for yourself first. You have to honor whoever you are, the person you are. Respect your body, enjoy your body, love your body, feed, clean, and heal yourself. Exercise or do whatever it makes makes your body feel good. You don't need to worship idols or religions or even philosophies. You can if you want to. If it feels good to you, then do it. But your own body is the manifestation of the universe, of the infinity, of God. And if you honor your body, that enough will change yourself for you. When you practice giving love to yourself and every part of your body, you plant the seeds of love in your mind. And when they grow, you will love, honor, and respect your body immensely. Every action then becomes a ritual in which you are honoring your God, the universe, the infinity, earth. Every thought becomes a communion with God. And you will live a dream without judgments, victimization, and free of the need to gossip and abuse yourself and others too. But it starts with you. So honor yourself. Honoring yourself is honoring the world. When you honor these 4 agreements together, there is no way that you will ever live in a hell, even if it appears that other people are. There's no way. If you're impeccable with your word, if you don't take anything personally, if you don't make assumptions, if you always do your best, then you're going to have a beautiful life, and so will the others that surround you. You are going to control your life 100%. I mean, you control your life 100% already, but you can consciously control your life. You transform hell into heaven. The dream of the planet is transformed into your personal dreams. Just do your best to honor your agreements, to honor these agreements, and you can make this agreement today. Just choose it right now to do your best. Just decide, hey, I'm going to do my best. But you must have a very strong will to keep these agreements. Why? Because wherever we go, we find that our path is full of obstacles. It's full of haters. If you go to learnfromike.com, I have a whole video on dealing with obstacles that show up as haters. Everyone tries to sabotage your commitment to these new agreements, whether it's the people, first it's you that tries to sabotage you, then it's those closest to you that try to sabotage you. When you surmount those, then it becomes those that don't know you, and so on and so forth. This is where haters actually come from. In fact, haters are great. That means you're able to withstand your own disagreements with yourself and those that are closest to you, and you stood your ground, and so they have to show up from random-ass people that you don't know and that you probably never will know. And everything around us is set up to break our agreements. The problem is that all the other agreements are part of the same dream of the planet. They're alive and they're very strong, like all these other things that are on the planet that you don't like about what's going on right now. That's why you need to be a great hunter. You need to be a great warrior who can defend yourself from yourself. Your happiness, your freedom, your entire way of living depends on it. The warrior's goal is to transcend this world, to escape from the hell, and never go back to it. The reward is to transcend the human experience of suffering, and to become the embodiment of God, the universe, infinity, Mother Nature. That is your reward. You get it here. You get it now as soon as you do your best, you love yourself. I didn't expect that I could do it at first. I've fallen many times, but I stood up and I kept going, and I fell again, and I kept going. I didn't feel sorry for myself. There was no way that I felt sorry for myself. If you fall, just get up. So if you fall, do not judge. Do not give your judge the satisfaction of turning you into a victim. No. Be tough with yourself. Stand up and make the agreement again. Okay, I broke my agreement to be impeccable with my word. I'll start over again. I'm going to keep the agreements just for today. Today I'll be impeccable with my word. I will not take anything personally, and I will not make any assumptions, and I'm going to do my best. If you break any agreement, begin again tomorrow and then again the next day. It will be difficult, but one day it'll be easier and easier, and your life will transcend because you'll be the one ruling your life, doing your best, and you'll be surprised at the way your life has been transformed. You don't need to be religious or go to church every day. Your love and self-respect are growing and growing. You can do it. If I did it, you can do it also. So don't be concerned about the future. Keep your attention on today and stay in the present moment. Just live one day at a time. Always do your best to keep these agreements, and soon it will be easy for you. Today could be the beginning of a new dream for yourself, but it starts by doing your best in everything and in anything. So how do we break the old agreements? How do we do that? Breaking old agreements. Everyone talks about freedom. All around the world, different people, different races, different countries are fighting for freedom. I could read this today and it's relevant. Read it 5 years ago, 5 years before that, 5 years before that. Because what is freedom? In America, we speak about living in a free country, but are we really free? Are we free to be who we really are? The answer is no, we are actually not free. True freedom has to do with the human spirit. It is the freedom to be who we really are. So who stops us from being free? We blame the government, we blame the weather, we blame our parents, we blame religion, we blame God. Who really stops us from being free? We do. We stop ourselves. What does it really mean to be free? Sometimes we get married and we say we lose our freedom. Then we get out of that relationship and we're still not free. What stops us? Why can't we be ourselves? We have memories of long ago when we used to be free and we love being free, but we have forgotten what freedom really means. If we see a child who's 2 or 3, perhaps 4, we find a free human. Why is this human free? Because this human does whatever they want to be doing. The human is completely wild, just like a flower, a tree, or an animal that has not been domesticated. They're wild. And if we observe humans who are 2 years old, we find that most of the time, these humans have a big smile on their face and they're having fun. They're exploring the world. They're not afraid to play. They're afraid when they're hurt, when they're hungry, when some of their needs are not met, but they don't worry about the past and they don't care about the future and they only live in the present moment. Very young children are not afraid to express what they feel. They're so loving that if they perceive love, they melt into love. They're not afraid to love at all. That is a description of a normal human being. As children, we are not afraid of the future or ashamed of the past. Our normal human tendency is to enjoy life, to play, to explore, to be happy, and to love. But what has happened with the adult human? Why are we so different? Why are we not wild any longer? From the point of view of the victim, we can say that something has happened to us. And from the point of view of the warrior, we can say that what happened to us is normal. What has happened is that we've judged ourselves. And the judge on the inside and the victim on our inside start ruling our lives. And we're no longer free because the judge and the victim and our belief system don't allow us to speak up and speak to who and what we really are. And once our minds have been programmed with all that, we cease to be happy. This chain of training from human to human, from generation to generation, is perfectly normal in human society. You don't need to blame your parents for teaching you to be like them. What else could they teach you but what they know? This is like literally everybody we know outside of 0.1% of folks are like this. They did the best that they could, and if they abused you, it was due to their own domestication, their own fears, their own beliefs. They had no control over the programming they received, so they couldn't have behaved any differently. Just like you now can't behave much differently than you're behaving. And when you realize, like, oh, I want to be different, it's difficult for you to do that. Why? Don't blame your parents. Don't blame anyone, including yourself. But it's time to stop this abuse within yourself, and it's time to free yourself from the judge of yourself and change the foundation of your agreements. It's time to stop being the victim of yourself. The real you is still a little child who never grew up. Sometimes that little child comes out when you're having fun or playing, when you feel happy, when you're painting or you're doing something that inspires you. These are the happiest moments of your life, when the real you comes out. When you don't care about the past and you don't worry about the future, when you are childlike. But there is something that changes with all that. We call them responsibilities. The judge says, wait a second, you're responsible. You got things to do. You have to work. You have to go to school. You have to earn a living, and so forth. All these responsibilities come to mind. Our face changes and becomes serious again. If you watch children when they're playing adults, you will see their little faces change. Let's pretend I'm a lawyer, and right away their faces change. The adult face takes over. We go to court, and that's the face we see, and that is what we are. We're still children, but we have lost our freedom. The freedom we are looking for is the freedom to be ourselves and to express ourselves. In what moments are you not doing that for yourself, and how come you are not? But if we look at our lives, we will see that most of the time we do things just to please others, just to be accepted by others, rather than living our lives to please ourselves. And this is what happens and what had happened to our freedom. And we see in our society, in all the societies around the world, that for every 1,000 people, 999 are completely domesticated. The worst part is most of us are not even aware that we're not free. We go around blaming other people and saying we don't have control over our own lives. Well, then who the hell does? If you don't. There's something inside that whispered to us that we are not free, but we do not understand what it is, nor do we understand why we're not free. The problem with most people is that they live their lives and never discover that there's a judge within them and the victim within them that rule their mind. And so they never had a chance to be free. The first step towards personal freedom is awareness. We need to be aware that we're not free in order to become free. Awareness is always the first step, because if you're not aware, there's nothing that you can change. You've got to make the unconscious conscious, because when we do that, then our life's not going to repeat. Carl Jung said, until we make the unconscious conscious, our world continuously repeats, and then we call it fate, or we call it always happens to me. But make the unconscious conscious, and then you could heal your own wounds. And if you're not aware that your mind is full of wounds and emotional poison, you cannot begin to clean and heal the wounds, and you will continue to suffer. So what are some of yours if some pop in your head? Just write them down and look at them. The more you write down, the more is going to be conscious, and the more can come up to be healed. In fact, if you're not going to write it down, it's likely not going to ever be able to get healed. You're going to put a name on things. If you go into the dream and start challenging your beliefs, you will find that most of the beliefs that guided you into the wounded mind are not even frickin' true. You'll find that you suffered all these years of drama for nothing. Why? Because the belief system that was put inside your mind is also based on things that aren't true. This is why it's important for you to master your own dream. Your life is the manifestation of your dream. You don't like the results of your life, change your dream. It is an art. See something you don't like, start seeing things that you do like instead. And you can change your life any time if you aren't enjoying the dream. You can create your own masterpiece of life. It's a way of life where there are no leaders and no followers, where you have your own truth and you live your own truth. You can become wise, you can become wild again, and you can become free again. There are the 3 masteries that lead people to become Toltecs. First is the mastery of awareness. This is to be aware of who we really are, and with all the possibilities. The second is the mastery of transformation, how to change, how to be free of domestication. And the third is the mastery of intent. Intent from the Toltec point of view is that part of life that makes transformation of energy possible. It is the one living being that seamlessly encompasses all energy, or what we call God, the universe, Mother Nature, infinity. Intent is life itself. It is unconditional love. The mastery of intent is therefore the mastery of love. When we talk about the Toltec path to freedom, we find that they have an entire map for breaking free of domestication. They compare the judge, they compare the victim and the belief system to a parasite that invades your mind, invades your heart, and they become one, but in a bad way because it overpowers what you would like. The child you, the wild you. The food for the parasite is the negative emotions that come from your fear in anything. If we look at the description of a parasite, we find that a parasite is a living being who lives off of other living beings, sucking their energy without any useful contribution in return and hurting their host little by little. One function of the brain is to transform material energy into emotional energy. Our brain is the factory of our emotions, and we have said that the main function of the mind is to dream. The Toltecs believe that the parasite, this judge, the victim in your belief system, has control of the mind, and it controls your personal dream. It makes everything show up in the way that it wants it to show up versus yourself, which is why you want to make it conscious. The parasite dreams through your mind and lives its life through your body. It survives on the emotions that come from all the negative things that have stabilized it up until now. The freedom we seek is the use of our own mind and our own body to live our own life. And instead of the life of whatever this filter that we already have is, that we learned young through other people that learned it from when they were young, who learned it from other people who learned it from when they were young, and so forth. So when we discover that the mind is controlled by this judge and this victim, the real us, the other voices inside of our head, the conscious us, know we just have two choices. One choice is to just be like, all right, whatever. Let's let this one take over and let's just surrender. And the other is to do what we do as children when parents try to domesticate us. We can rebel and say, no. I was around some kids the other day and they're like, no. And I was like, oh man, how often should we be, no. Say that to your boss. Say that to your partner. Say that to whomever. Just be like, no, I don't want to do it. And the only reason why they say no is because they don't want to do it, right? Like, that's literally the only reason. I mean, that's probably the best reason to say no about something. But, like, literally, that's the only reason why they said no, is because they didn't want to do it. How awesome, right? Like, geez. We can declare war against this just by saying no. This is why in all the shamanic traditions in America, from Canada to Argentina, people call themselves warriors because they're in a war against the parasite in the mind. That is the real meaning of warrior. The warrior is the one who rebels against the invasion of this parasite. The warrior rebels and declares war. The war is with yourself, with this parasite on the inside. But to be a warrior doesn't mean we always win the war. We may win or we may lose, but we always do our best. And at least we have a chance to be free again. And every new war is a new chance to win again. Choosing this path gives us, at the very least, the dignity of rebellion and ensures that we will not be helpless victim in our own whimsical emotions or get poison emotions from other people. Even if we succumb to the enemy, even if we lose, we will not be among those victims who would not fight back. Fight back. At best, being a warrior gives us an opportunity to transcend the dream of the planet and to change our personal dream and to become a dream here, now, what we would call heaven, which would be the opposite of when you're not doing this and your life is not going the way that you want it to go, and it's hell instead. Every head of the parasite is one of the fears that we have. If we want to be free, we've got to destroy this and we've got to win it. One solution is to attack the parasite head on, which means we face each of our fears one by one. A second approach is to stop feeding the parasite. If we don't give the parasite food, any food, we kill the parasite by starvation. To do this, we have to gain control of our emotions. We have to refrain from fueling the emotions that come from fear. A third solution is called the initiation of the dead. The initiation of the dead is found in many traditions and esoteric schools around the world. It was in Egypt, India, Greece, and America. This is a symbolic death which kills the parasite without harming our physical body. When we die, symbolically, the parasite has to die. This is faster than the first two solutions, but it is even more difficult to do. We need a great deal of courage to face the angel of death. The angel of death. We need a great deal of courage to face the angel of death. We need to be very strong. So let's take a look at these solutions. And we'll get into that next time. I think we still have that one hater in the comments. So let's see if there's any other. There's a lot of comments. But are there any actual questions? No, just a bunch of hate. So we'll pass that on to a different time. Doesn't matter if you have haters. It doesn't matter when things are only a matter of time. Remember, your well-being is your greatest contribution to humanity. There's never an exception to that. Ever.